From London, England, where the Queen lives.
Recorded live from an underground bunker and packaged into an MP3 with a pretty little picture. Helping to kickstart your day with the motivation and inspiration you need 365 days a year. This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. And this is your host, Chris Jaggs.
Good morning! Welcome to the weekly Learn, Develop, Live podcast, released on a Monday, the world's most hated day. Unless you're not working, of course. Am I right? My name is Chris Jaggs, and as always, I'm your host, director, T-Boy, and CEO of the show. Episode 39 of the weekly podcast poses a question to you, and it's a good one that so many people ask every single day, all around the world, and probably 75% or so of those people are unable to answer it. But before we kick off, I'll give my calendar a mention, as I'd really like to see you on it. Have you booked your free 30-minute call me yet? 30 minutes dedicated one-to-one, completely to you. Alright, every week I speak to great people, really honest about how they're feeling and what problems they have. You can also become one of those amazing people. Would you like to identify that issue you have? Would you like to develop a habit? And would you like to take your life onto a higher level? I mean, it sounds great, and while many others already have, when do you plan on doing the same? My calendar is wide open, waiting for you at ldlcall.com. Go to the website, find your ideal slot on the calendar, and book it. We can talk and smash about your issue about the place before solving it. Yes, we are making miracles happen on a daily basis, because that is the LDL way. Next, we have my chance to give thanks to those people that took the trouble of writing a review for the podcast. The love is much appreciated. First up, T Dixon 508, who said, motivating, 5-star. And another review from Emily Kaufman, who said, I love these quick little episodes, and especially enjoyed that don't be afraid to start over. It was exactly what I needed, and I can't wait to hear more. You two people are heroes in your own right. I thank you. Can I give a shout out to you listeners? No, it's okay. I owe you a massive shout out and thank you. Every download counts. Every time someone subscribes, it counts. I have huge support in the UK and the US, India, France, Ireland, Australia. I'm always happy to see those other little countries popping up. Download or two here. Iran, Honduras, Morocco, Spain, Germany, Belgium, to name a few. This past week, though, the podcast entered the Apple Podcast charts in Costa Rica in at number 8 in the education chart and number 2 in self-improvement. Boom! Thank you. It's amazing to see what the podcast is doing, and it's being recognised. Let's just keep building and getting stronger. Now, let's have a drop and get going.
Recorded live from a secret underground bunker. This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast.
And we are back in the room. I tell you, these ad breaks, they don't give you time to go to the toilet, do they? Anywho, can I give you a quote from Henry Ford? You know, the guy that started the Ford Motor Company. Now, this quote, have a think about it. It goes, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right. Think about it. Whatever your mindset is telling you, that's exactly what you'll do. If you want to do something, you will. And vice versa. If you don't, you won't. So my question to you is, what do you want to do? There was a story about a guy who was 18 at the time, told his family that he was going to be a senator. He was greeted with probably the usual looks and, okay, that's nice, dear. But 20 years later or so, the same guy was the chairman of a major political party and a judge. He also ran for state congress in his 30s and just lost. What makes this story crazy is, well, basically, this never happens. It hardly ever does. Most of us have no clue what we want to do with our lives, even after we finish school, even after we get a job, even after we're making money. You change your career aspirations more often than you change your underwear, especially those years after leaving school. Who out there listening to this still has no idea what they want to do? It's a struggle. Almost every adult goes through it. What do I want to do in my life? What am I passionate about? What do I not suck at? People in their 40s, people in their 50s still have no clue what they want to do themselves. But this whole statement isn't just about a job or a career. Maybe you want to play the saxophone. Maybe you want to leave a partner. Maybe you want to leave a job. Go back to school. Be more assertive. Everyone has their own desires and wants. But another question is, what keeps you from doing what you want to do? Part of the problem is the concept of life purpose itself. The idea that we are each born for some higher purpose and now it's our cosmic mission to find it. Here's the truth. We exist on this earth for a period of time. During that time we do things. Some important, some not. The important things give our lives meaning and happiness. The unimportant ones basically just kill time. So when people say, what should I do with my life? Or what is my life purpose? What they're actually asking is, what can I do in my time that is important? And when you ask the question that way, already it has some sort of meaning and purpose to it itself. Let's say you're in a job or a career you don't like, and now you need to make a change. But there's one problem. You don't know what you want to do next. You know you'd like to do something you enjoy, but you feel like you don't have a clue what kind of work that would be for you. So how do you figure out what kind of job or work you want to pursue? How do you figure out what will bring you true enjoyment in what you do every day? Well, it's not as much as a process of figuring out as a process of getting in touch with and truly listening to ourselves, perhaps for the first time. To figure something out tends to be a mental or logic-based approach. And perhaps this is why many of us end up in jobs we dislike. We are leaning too much on our mind's logical arguments, the shoulds. To find what work lights us up, we need a different approach. One where who we are, what we like, what we don't like, and what we really desire comes before the opinions of the mind. One of the many things that could help you connect with yourself, find what excites you and get clarity on what you want to do is look at your thinking, especially all the shoulds. You might be telling yourself. Following all these shoulds can make us lose touch with ourselves. From birth, through society or family, we're often taught to be a certain way and to strive for certain things. What you should be doing. Leave school, get a job, get married, have kids, etc., etc. Now, there is nothing wrong with any of that, and if that's what you've done or you want to do, then, hey, you've got this topic sus even before I recorded it. But if it's not, well, that's a different story altogether. Look to identify all your shoulds. To help you get in touch with yourself and what you really want, take a look at those shoulds, the ones that run through your mind. What are the thoughts that roll around your head when you think about work and the next steps in your career? What are all the things you tell yourself you should do? In addition to I should, they can also begin with I need to, or I have to, or I can't, or sometimes even masquerade as I want, especially when we're thinking we want something, but deep down it's only because we feel we should. Personally, I've convinced myself I want the job because it was a good job. And since it looked good on paper and thought I should want it. So shoulds, they can be a little bit sneaky themselves. Drop all the shoulds that aren't in alignment with and serving your happiness. We fill our minds every day with shoulds from the external world, voices expressing others' ideas, opinions, expectations. Some of them we might generally agree with. For example, I should be treated with respect. Is perhaps one that we can all get behind. But other shoulds, they don't feel so good when we say them to ourselves. If we can identify what those shoulds are for each of us and then let go of them, we can create the space for our true desires to come to the surface. Holding on to them only serves to make us doubt ourselves and silence inner voices that we know is actually right for you. When we drop the shoulds, that inner voice that has been quiet for so long can come through. Hi, where have you been? It's going to let you in, or it's going to guide you to discover what you enjoy and want for yourself. This may take some time, or it could be that you realise you already know what you want, but you've kind of been putting all of the shoulds in the way because, you don't really want to do it yet. But fear and doubt, that's another story. Your mind will resist. Of course it will. I know it can feel scary just to drop all the shoulds. You've likely been carrying some around for a very long time, and it can feel uncomfortable to let them go, especially when you've been using them to navigate your life for so long. Your mind is going to want to resist and argue, why we need this one and why we need this one and that one and this one. After all, they've brought you this far, haven't they? But what our mind is telling us, both the shoulds and or what will happen if you let it go, is usually not based on facts. It contains a lot of projection into the future, which we just don't know. So take a closer look. And from deep inside, see if you can feel what's really true for you. Also, to throw your mind a bone, remember that many of the most conventional successful people took steps in their career that did not appear logical. They dropped the shoulds and blazed their own paths. If you read the biographies or even the Wikipedia pages of some of the people you admire most, you'll see this. And just like you may experience if you drop the shoulds and follow what your heart wants to do. They had others question their decisions. So if you meet others' resistance, remember this too, you'll be in good company. Try translating what you enjoy into work. When you drop the shoulds, for some, it might become clearly apparent very quickly that what they want to do, and it will line up quite nicely with a job or some form of work that they're aware of. For others, it might take a bit more time to explore what's coming to the surface. There'll be things they enjoy, and how this translates to potential work, and they just appear. In this case, we can brainstorm, research, ask around to learn of occupations that might include these things as well. Or, if you're inclined, you can always create your own thing. We live in a time of endless possibilities for what you want to create for yourself. Your life is for you to enjoy. I feel like we are in a shoulded bit of a society. That seems radical to say, but I believe it's true. I believe you have the right to live your life any way that pleases you, and everything you do ought to be towards your happiness and exactly what you want. If not, we have to take a closer look at ourselves and ask, why are we doing that? When we think of things this way, there's nothing to figure out really. There's only listening to ourselves and following what brings us joy and makes us feel good. By dropping all the shoulds that don't feel in alignment, we'll free ourselves from the boxes and limitations we've often made. The ones that we place upon ourselves and, try to limit our own happiness. I'm not saying to be reckless or to throw all caution to the wind, but rather see past the shoulds to uncover what your heart and soul are really calling for. And of course, again, your happiness. So for this episode, I'm going to wrap it up, and hopefully it's made some sort of sense about how you can find your own happiness. Don't forget my calendar, ldlcall.com, book your slot. I want to work with you. You want to talk more about this or anything else that's bothering you in the world? Now, stay safe, people, and I'll be back tomorrow with another Daily Motivator.
Goodbye.
What? It's over already?
All over.
Thank you for listening to the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. I hope you feel as warm, motivated, and fuzzy inside as I do. You can connect with Chris at LearnDevelopLive.com or on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
I won't say goodbye. I'll just say until we meet again.
Until next time, join the motivation. Motivation.